you are very big in encouraging people to try and find what do you live for, right? So for you, how was it for you to find your purpose, and what will you say is your purpose?
Well, I know my purpose, which I live a very purposeful life, is helping to secure and protect these lands, our environment, and our people, and even more so to inspire our people. So my purpose is one of based around agriculture and music. And that's where I live, and around food systems, if I say it like that. So that's why I work. I'm very strong and passionate about providing healthy food for our people, teaching our people healthy organic agriculture practices, and showing our people how to preserve the land. So that's something that happened. Part of what I mentioned earlier in terms of my waking up to who I am. But I also say to guys, the thing that excites you, the thing you get excited about, driven about, it could be. It is not necessarily always art. Because me as an artist, I love art. So I may say, you may find yourself, you get excited when you're singing. But somebody may just find themselves excited when they're playing in here. Something about me and my connection to here. Someone may find my connection to building when I'm pounding a hammer or doing something. Someone may maybe find an interest in design. They may just find themselves such a wonderful designer. Someone may just like to teach. But there's so many various aspects of people that never actually get activated, because too many times that thing gets suppressed by society. It gets suppressed. You start making some noise. They say, "Man, you can't sing. You sound like a frog." And then you never pursue voice training or getting, because it might just, I used to hear that growing up. Guys used to tell me, "Man, you need to give it up." And I'll be like, but I still push on. But some guys get crushed. You may decide. It might be a sport. There's so many things that people are passionate about, but because you have the negative words coming at them, then those things get crushed. And then you're looking at a society and the media and everything that's designed in a way that is fostering a direction that's far away from purpose. So I say to people, the thing that excites you, that aligns with life. If it's not aligned with life, forget about it. I don't care if you get excited over some stupid stuff, some crazy drugs or some alcohol. I say the things that excite you, that aligns with life, in terms of aligns with you being healthy, align with what you can imagine is a concept of God. If it aligns, then you can begin to tap in and go a little further and see if that might be a purpose. And I bet you 10 out of 10 times, you will be able to make enough money and have a living, or whatever you need will come out of it. You'll even find their circumstances and the people coming to you. You'll attract the things that you need to help you move in the direction of that purpose. So when you begin to see signs of what that thing that excites you, that thing that drives you, that's aligned with life, aligned with God, aligned with nature, aligned with truth, then move forward and watch the universe support you. And the thing is now staying aligned with that, because you're going to have a lot of distractions. And many people might have been traumatized as children, might have had different situations that you've been through, and the way the mind thinks and the way the mind processes these things. Just speaking recently at a seminar, I was speaking about the neurons in the brain and how the brain actually documents experiences, good and bad experiences. So many times, when you think about the good experiences, you think about them as, I had so much fun back then, and then you leave it alone. When you have the bad experiences, you're like, man, and you let that bad experience cause you to go back, and anytime anything even resembles that, you go back into that, man, I can't have that damn to. So every day you wake up saying, man, I'm not going to let anybody do me like this, or I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, and you think all the things you're not going to do. My question is, what are you going to do? So you have to wake up every day saying, this is what I'm going to do. Every day you wake up with a positive mindset. This is what I am going to do. And repeat it to yourself. I am going to, and let that be aligned with a greater vision. And when you begin to find yourself among people who are doing greater good, connect to people doing greater good. So because you have individual purpose and you have collective purpose. So now your individual purpose should also align with the collective. And it has to be enhancing society. Like I said, enhancing life, it has to be enhancement. So the mental practice for people who begin to tap into or get a little vision, a little glare. If you see a little spark of what the purpose might be, go for it, but begin to tell yourself positive things. And the traumas and so on, you have to begin to use, there are a bunch of different mechanisms of processing them out, because the worst situation, and I said this in an agricultural perspective, what you think was the worst situation and the worst thing that happened to you that doesn't serve you anymore, you said that thing was something that you can draw strength from. you can draw, and I use an example of a tree. You cut the branches, it was bad weather, the leaves turned brown, the branches fell off the tree. It looks like it gets rid of the things that doesn't serve it anymore, because the old leaves cannot, capture any light energy anymore. The branches are not serving. They're old, they're brown now. What am I to do with them? You drop them to the ground. But what does the tree do with them? They become compost. And the tree draws strength. It gets fertilized, it gets its nutrient from that same compost. So I'm saying, what you think is a bad thing or a bad experience, you can draw strength from it. Think of how hard you had to think to get creative. I know you can relate to this, Brian, how you had to create this system here with no money. You don't have the money, but you had to get creative. And then when the money comes now, you find that you're lacking creativity. You need to keep thinking. Think and draw strength, because now situations are going to present themselves, but you remember how hard it was when you had to create something with a little, and how your mind got to thinking, no man, I got to figure this out. I'm gonna make this thing work. I'm going to do this. So I say to guys who are driven by purpose, don't get dismayed. Don't get dismayed by what seems to not be working out. Draw strength from the hard times. Draw strength from the bad times, what you think of bad times, Draw strength from the traumatic experiences, and look at how it pushes you and who you have become out of it, and keep going further. So my position in that is keep pushing forward. Keep pushing to go further. Don't hold yourself back, and don't let yourself block you. Don't let no bad experience, don't let your own minds block you. Get out your way.
Yeah, that's very powerful, and I sort of can relate to everything you just said, especially when things get tough, you always have to go. I always look back to my personal experience as well. I've gone through all that thriller. Personally, I think the worst experience that happened to me in my life was I got discontinued from university in like my second year into university. That turned out to be the best thing that have happened to me, because now it's sort of redirected me to the organic movement, right? So that's when I got even more purposeful in terms of trying to speak about organic agriculture. And then from there, everything has sort of given me a path to follow, right? So finished my bachelor's in agriculture, got a scholarship to go study organic agriculture. So everything sort of aligned from that perspective. So when you talk about when things get tough, there's always, it's not like the end, it's sort of a redirection to, yes, this is what you were meant to do. So I'm just wondering from yourself, what is the moment that you think led you to discover your purpose?
I would say one of the things that happened to me, I remember I was one of the top players playing basketball in my age group when I was like 18, 19 years old. And we were preparing to go to Milwaukee at the time. There were about 60 of that age group back then, about 60 of us who were training. And at the time, I was at an attachment from the college. I was doing accounts at the time at the airlines. And we had to be at the spot at 3 o'clock every day to go train. And I remember the coach telling me, he said, "You're doing pretty good." We got on to like 20 something. The coach said, we're going through 16, you in the 16, just keep coming, we got you. I like your skills. And I was there with all my friends and all the guys, and I was excited, And then I was not allowed to leave before 3 o'clock at this job practice, this attachment anymore, because they closed at 4. So they were like, you have to be here at 4 o'clock. You cannot leave here 2:30 every day to go to this, that's some basketball foolishness you're doing. And I was like, man, but we all going to get scholarships. And everyone who made it, or they all got scholarships. And I felt like, man, I could have gotten that scholarship, I could have done this. And everything that happened to me in life after that led me all the way led me to Israel in agriculture, to even begin to study agriculture there. So everything led me there. So I was like, man, I could have been, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm like, because I love basketball so much. I still play basketball periodically. But for me, basketball was the thing. I was one of those guys who was dunking and guys, and you 6'1" and you have the kind of ups that I had. We were doing a lot. So it was kind of heartbreaking at the time, but it brought me to a place of purpose now, where I say, if a lot of those things didn't happen, then I may not have been here today. I was working in Ghana. I got sick real bad. I didn't know it was malaria. Had to be flown out to the UK. Eventually ended up back in Antigua. But because of that malaria situation that they eventually found out was in my blood, I was taken out of a country that I love so much, because I love Ghana. I wanted to live in Ghana. I was like, man, Ghana, I felt like I was back home. Well, because I was working there for several years. And all those situations, what I consider bad situations, led me here to Kenya. And now there's no place I'd rather be, So to have the opportunity right here, right now, even this moment with you, Brian. There's no place I prefer to be than to be here, this moment, right here, this time, sharing the positive things that we can share together so that we can give people some of what they need to move them forward in a positive manner, you know? Just feeding more life and more positive energy. There's nothing that drives me more than just putting more positive energy into this.